everyone. My name is Michelle Sanchez-St.Andre. I am the NMAEA current past president and finishing the final leg of my term at the end of this year. I am also a visual arts facilitator at NexGen Academy. This is my first year at NexGen Academy. Before that, I was always teaching in Rio Rancho for several years. Today, I'm going to share with you an activity that I created this past fall with remote teaching, but it's a culmination, it's a result of a culmination of a lot of different events that happened. This particular activity is called the Virtual Field Trip and Museum Tour, and it's something that I always wanted to do with my students, actually, even before pre-pandemic, I guess you could say. You know, I've taught AP art history, and it's difficult to get the students into galleries, and so I'd been working with collecting resources with my with the ed tech at the school I was at before, in hopes to establish some activities for my students relating to that. And then, of course, pandemic happened, and we had this Band-Aid response to it, and many resources were provided because of it. So many of the museums had to close down. They were providing many links so that you could still go on museum tours. And, there were other resources out there like the Online Art Teachers K-12 Facebook group, which provided so many resources. And I collected and I gathered and I harvested. And I had so many that helped out that when I was actually quarantining back in March and April and May, I provided these resources just kind of as extras for my students. If they were bored or they needed a little something extra to do, here, go check out some online museums. But I never really put anything together. And then when I moved schools, moved districts, and then, doing remote learning, remote teaching, and moving to a school where curriculum is taught differently there, it's PBL, project-based learning. And it really, there's a heavy emphasis on group work. And I really had to kind of look at my curriculum and, stretch it and move it and just do some transformation. And I'm still working on all that. But I wanted to give the students something that was going to kind of help them in terms of being able to do, right now group work is so essential, I feel like, not just because of where I'm teaching, but it's just the students right now probably feel quite isolated by being in their little boxes all day, right? And so I wanted to utilize those resources I've been gathering and come up with something that I could put them in small groups and also give them a field trip, because students always like to go on field trips. And so I came up with this, and this was, I can't take full credit because I pulled from many resources to put this together into one activity. And so I'm going to share that with you today. I'll try to keep it brief. I do have a PDF of the instructions that, the planning and prep instructions for students, and the actual document that I give the students to work on is in a PDF form already on the Facebook portion of this, the Facebook post for this video. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and walk you through the steps of the process that I used to create this project, so that, or this activity, so that you can hopefully do this with your students and go from there. So here's the PDF, and when I've done this with my students, right now we're a block schedule, but our synchronous time has been cut in half, right? So the time I would normally spend with them in class is literally in half. So on my block days, I have an hour with my students. My other school, I used to spend about 52 minutes a class period with them. So I think it can be done within that 50 minutes to definitely an hour. They can get that done in an hour. The first time they took a little longer to do it. The second time, because they'd done it before, they knew what they were doing, and so it didn't take as long. So definitely something that can be done in an hour. Planning and prep is everything. The materials that I use for this, are not actual materials or medium, but it's digital materials. So computer, of course, with internet access. The online apps that I use for this, we use Google platforms. So for the meeting time, the meeting rooms, the breakout rooms, I use Google Meet. I also use Google Docs and Google Calendar to create the meeting breakout rooms. And you can see I was editing that a little bit. And then I'm using some other online resources that they weren't established based off of the as a response to the pandemic. I think many teachers have always used these. They're new to me, and I really like the idea of them because I've always wanted to randomly pick students for certain things, right? Whether it's just a single random picker or putting them into groups and not having to think too hard about it. I use flippity.net, and it has many resources to it, but the one I use for it is the random picker. And then the egg timer, just a nice big timer you can put on the screen for the students to use. So I'm going to show you all of those and how I use them. So in the planning, we'll jump right into flippity.net. I actually have that bookmarked on my bookmark bar so I can access it quickly. The prep with that comes with just going online to the app, downloading a template and entering your students' names onto a template, and then publishing it to the web. And I can show you real quick how that works. So here's the random name picker that I use for this. And you can see here, so if you want to make your own, let me go back here to the instructions. It tells you what to do. So you modify a Google spreadsheet template. So here you make a copy. So you open it, make a copy of it, edit the names. So let me just show you what it looks like. Now I have mine already done, and I could show you those, but it has all my students' last names on there. So I'll just show you what they do here. So they give you this here. These are just random names. So you put your student names in here, and you don't have to put photos, that's up to you. And then you click on the tab down here to get the link. Okay, so if you go back here to the instructions, it says to fill it in, publish your spreadsheet. In other words, go to File, Publish to the Web, then click Publish. So you go back to that once you enter those in. And I make a new one for each class. So I have one for every single class that I teach. You go down here to File, Publish to Web, and you tell it publish the entire document. Yes. And then it gives you a link. You can copy that link, Command C, and go over here to a new tab, paste, and that didn't work. That's fine. Don't copy that link. Go over here to the Get the Link Here tab. Once you've published it, click on that one, and that will take you to the random name picker. Okay, so there's the list, and this is really great because you can just, if you want to do, get people to just answer questions and do a random picker that way, you can always do that and just let it spin every time. There's a few different examples, groups, you want groups of 3, 4, 5, or teams. You want 3 teams, 4 teams, 5 teams, whatever that might mean. And then there's so many more options you can use for that. Okay, so for groups of 3, this is what I'm doing for this assignment. So I have that done prior to, and I have this up when class starts. Well, ready. I don't show the students it yet. So there's that. And then the other thing to do prior to is make your breakout rooms. And these are something that you can do for this project, or you could just do it once, and you can use those throughout the year, throughout the semester. Always have those breakout rooms with the links. So again, it's a little bit ahead of time, and that you have to prep for that, but then you can use it the rest of the year. So I make the links, and I'm going to show you how to do this because maybe some of you don't know how to do this. So I want to take the time to show you in this video. Okay, so you can pick a date, a past date. Let's just pick a Saturday, a Friday. And I like to pick a Saturday or Sunday or whatever because I know I don't have anything scheduled on those days because this is my work calendar. And so with that, you want to go to Create, and I just start with group 1. Add a Google Meet video conferencing. You can say the time anytime you want, but I'm going to just maybe start these at noon, and then I'll offset them by an hour, or 11 a.m. let's just say. Save, create a new one, group 2, noon, add Google conferencing, save, same day, create another one, 3. Now, so how many groups do you need? Well, that depends on how many students you have in your class and how big you want your groups to be. So if you want your groups to be bigger than 3 or 4, like I was suggesting. Oops, no, I accidentally pressed that. Then I was suggesting, then you're gonna have to come up with more tasks for them. 3, and when it comes to group work, 3 is best. 4, you're pushing a little bit in terms of misbehaviors. So that's just kind of what I've learned since I've been at this school, and a lot of the work that we do is project-based learning. That's pretty much, I guess, advice I received. And that was something too, like I jumped right in and didn't really talk about that. So the school I'm at is, another reason that I wanted to create this this lesson and it be group work is the school I'm at focuses on project-based learning. And because of that, there's a lot of group work. It's group work intensive. And so I've had to find ways to add to my lessons and my projects and expand on them and give students opportunities to work together. And it's also just that time frame, right? They need that interaction. They need to be able to talk. They're always muted in these boxes and these grids. And this is a good way to give them that opportunity. Take a field trip together. So I'm going to go ahead and just make 3 groups. So you can make several of these. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on each group, and I'm going to click on this little icon here to copy the conference link. This is the best way to get the link accurate. Sometimes if you try to copy this down here, it doesn't work. So always hit copy link. And then I suggest you just maybe start a new document. So let's just go make a new Google Doc. We're already in Docs here. And we can call it Google Meet Groups. Okay. And then I'm going to type group 1, group 2, group. And of course, however many groups you have. I copied group 1, so I'm going to highlight this, go over here to the insert link icon, and Command V, paste, and there's group 1. Go back to my calendar, copy, go to my document, insert link, highlight, insert link, Control V, Command V. I'm going to change the color on this one because I don't like them all to be the same color. Okay, I'm going to go back to my calendar again, grab group 3, sure I'm on group 3, copy it, and then I do this for every single group and get them all in one location, and they're all going to be a different breakout room. So I keep doing it, and so I have this document. It's just going to be saved in my Google Drive. I also take these links and I copy and paste them into my landing page of the class page. So whenever we do need to go break down into groups, I have them there already. I just tell the students, I do the flippity, I put them in their groups, and I say, go to your Google Meet, and they know where they're at, and they just click on it. So it's become a norm now in the classroom. So it's something that I do up front. So when I go over here, I also have pasted it into the assignment so they can see their groups there. They can access them quickly there as well. So there's the little bit of prep and planning for this assignment. Also, another thing is, decide what museum links you're going to use, check them, make sure they work, look for any pitfalls the students could have, potential pitfalls, and make sure all of that is, all the links are working and that you can navigate it in case you need help helping them, in case you need to help them navigate it. And then prep the Google document for the students. And that's the document that's on page 2 here. And then here are the instructions that I give the students to get them started. So before I give them their groups, before I tell them to go into their Google Meets, breakout rooms, I go through the instructions with them. So they're going to first identify their group by number, find your Google Meet with the same number, join your group in your meeting room. I give them the norms that we've discussed already. Cameras are on, no one should be muted. These are small group conversations, so they shouldn't be cameras off and muted. That's zero participation. Pick your group role. So what is your task or your job? Docent, tourist, or critic. And the docent will lead the tour. The tourist records on the document, and the critic will gather more information from an outside source. And then I go into more detail. The tourist first will make a copy of the virtual tour museum document. and then make sure to share the document with the rest of the group. And so they can open it up as well if they want to. Everyone opens the shared document, fills in the job box with their first and last name. So yes, they all are opening it. The docent will be the one person sharing their screen. So even though they've got their documents open, they are going to all be in their Google Meet. They might have two windows side by side, and you can show them what that looks like. The docent will then share the screen with the group, and then they will decide on the museum, and they'll go on the field trip together, navigating through the website for the museum tour. And they'll do this for 15 minutes. That's where the egg timer comes in. Here's the egg timer here. So it's egg.timer.com. It's on the resource page. You can set the timer for 15 minutes and hit go. Oops, I forgot to type minutes. And hit go. So I put this on my shared. When I'm sharing with them, I just have this on there so they know. They can always glance at that. The timekeeper can keep track. And after 15 minutes, settle on a work of art and an artist. The tourist then will be the recorder. The docent will provide the information from the museum about the artwork while the tourist is recording in the document. They work together. The critic can then go online and find additional information to bring back to the group. They fill out the form, and then each one will turn in their own form for a grade. Even though they have all their names on it, I can kind of trace back who their group was. But it is easier for me to grade when they all turn them in separately. That's just how my grading system works. So here's the document that I have them fill out. And as you can see, I was doing this each week. I've expanded it to now once a month. And you can always change out the museums. We just got a great collection and information of the museums in New Mexico. So maybe you decide you want to do that. Maybe you just pick one museum and they all have to go and find something different. Of course, your classroom, and you decide how you want to work with this. Initially, when I did this, it was that pulling all the information that I pulled from back in March and just excited about giving them all these resources. Hindsight might be a little too much for them. So I did encourage them each time now to pick a different museum. And they place their image there and they fill this out. This is not super intense as far as information, but does make them look at the work, talk about the work, describe the work, respond to the work. And it's enough, it's enough to get them looking at art and feel comfortable talking about it. So that's how that works out. And also while they're in their groups, I'll just go back a little bit since I have a little more time here. When they get into their groups, I check on them. So I have my Google Meet, the class Meet muted, and I go in and I just click on one at a time and I just pop in muted, just sit there for a little bit and I unmute and how's it going? I just listen to them. I love popping in and just listening to them talk about the artwork or touring the museum and then make any corrections because there are always going to be some that have themselves muted or have their cameras off. And I just kind of remind them of their norms and I just stick around for a little while and see if they have any questions. Oftentimes they do, they wait for me to come in so they can ask questions. And I just do that. I pop in depending on the length of time, once or definitely once, maybe twice in that whole time period. I just go back and forth into the different groups just to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I really like the assignment. I like the activity for them, and I think they enjoy it as well. And so that is going to be it for the virtual field trip and museum tour. I hope it was helpful for you. And again, the PDF of that document I just showed you with the prep instructions and the handout for the students is in a PDF on the Facebook post. And I hope that you're asking questions. I should have said that at the beginning of this, but I think that this is one of the last videos. So I think at this point, everybody knows what the norms are for the conference. And I'm happy to help you after the fact. I'll keep checking the Facebook post if you have more questions. And this video will be available for 30 days on the Facebook group page as well as the YouTube channel. Thank you all for tuning in. Take care. Stay healthy and resilient.